Hello everyone, this is Robert and I am currently struggling with my stream. As always, welcome to everybody who is here to watch the Ielts speaking video, because this video is all about speaking and how you can improve your speaking in terms of the examination and in terms of the quality of your speech anyway. So as soon as I get to come to terms with my stream, I'll be able to get on with it. While you're here, please have a look at the screen where it says Ielts speaking music and think of perhaps what is it that students might have to talk about in the exam when you're talking about speaking. So here's the first question while you're thinking. So, sorry, I'll take that back. We start with some expressions to do with music. So let's start the video with some expressions that I have prepared for you, which can improve the way you speak. So the first one is called change your tune. What that means is to change your heart about something. So for instance, you could say, after much pressure on the newly implemented immigration policy, the government finally changed their tune. So to change your tune means to change your opinion or your idea about something, especially after someone has pressured you into doing it. So you could use that in your writing, you could use that in your speaking. Okay, so the next expression is pull out all the stops. So to pull out all the stops means to do whatever you can to achieve your goal. So for instance, if you are working towards a goal and it's really difficult to get there, you do your best and do more than your best, then you can say, I pulled out all the stops. So in this case, for instance, you could say, I've had to pull out all the stops in order to get a high band in the Ielts exam. Yes, you will have to pull out all the stops if you want to get a high band. So do your best, that's what it means. Remember, I'll leave this file in the description. If you want to download it, you can easily access that. After about half an hour of the stream, I shall be able to do that. So let's move on, shall we? Okay, the next expression is preaching to the choir. Now, choir is basically a group of people who are singing in the church. If you've been to a church, many of you have, many probably haven't, in which case you probably don't know what I'm talking about. So a choir is a bunch of people who sing, especially at Christmas period. They sing together. They're very adamant churchgoers. So when you're preaching to the choir, you're literally presenting an argument, or you're trying to convince people to go to the church. But they already do. So the meaning in this case is you are presenting an argument or a point to people who already agree with you. So it's not really difficult, or it's not really worth it. So the example here is trying to convince the citizens of the importance of public transportation. It's like preaching to the choir. It's the local authority we need to be focusing on. So saying, don't try to convince the citizens, they already know that. You need to convince the local authority, which is basically the government, isn't it? The local government, the mayor. Okay, so let's move on. So this one is like a broken record. Have you ever seen a vinyl, like a black disc with lots of lines on it? If there is a bit which is either scratched or it's damaged, the needle, when it goes on top, it just goes back to the line before. So in English we say to sing like a broken record. So someone who repeatedly says something again and again. So for example, educators sound like a broken record when they go on about the importance of testing. They need to understand that some students don't respond to on-the-spot assessment that well. So, you know, teachers are very adamant that testing is important. It is important, but it's not everything. So perhaps they should understand that there are some students who will not do tests well, but they do understand the topic, they do understand, they have the knowledge. So the testing itself is not that great. So in this case, you would say they sound like a broken record. Just a reminder, these expressions should be used in the writing and possibly in speaking. So you need to kind of practice and fit them in your speech slowly as you practice. So you can say something like, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but we do need to do a lot about environment. You know, for example, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but music is not popular in equal manner across all ages. So, right. So next one is music to my ears. Obviously, it means something that you like. So it means that something is really pleasing or satisfying. Because if music is satisfying, it makes you happy, kind of. Unless the music is terrible, in that case, you want to shut it off. The new regulations, in lieu of the former, far harsher ones, are music to students' ears. So the sentence means that the new rules in place, in lieu of means in place of, the former ones, which are harsh, are music to students' ears, mean they're really enjoying it. And I hope you're enjoying this video. Let's go. It's been a terrible day today, weather-wise speaking. I came all the way from London to get away from the rain, and here it is outside. Followed me. So next expression is, it's not my 40. So, like, you know, if you're 40 years old, you probably want to say that differently, forte. Otherwise you say, it's not my 40. I am 40. Can be misunderstood. Means something is not your greatest strength. For example, if you're not good at computers, you will say, it's not my 40. Music is not my 40. It has never been. Just to remind you here, I'm using music in the first phrase, and the second one I'm using a pronoun. So the use of pronoun makes it less heavy. Otherwise, I would say music is not my 40, music has never been. It's a bit of a repetition. You want to avoid that. Let's go on. Play by the ear. So play by the ear, means to improvise rather than go with a plan. So some people like to plan, some people like to improvise. Which one are you? Do you like to plan or improvise, or both? I like to plan and improvise. Improvisation is just good, it makes you feel good. So it also enhances your confidence in yourself. If you've done something good or well, then as you see the result, you actually believe that you can do things well without having to plan. So, but plans don't always come off. So there's that risk. Rather than planning things in advance, I like to play it by the ear. I like to improvise. So there is that one. Strike the right note. Note like a musical note. So it means to say or do the right thing for a particular occasion. For example, you can say, it's hard to strike the right note in a job interview while you're trying to sell yourself, while being relatable. So to strike the right note means that you have to say the right thing, do the right thing in a particular occasion. You know, for instance, if you're trying to be diplomatic, then that would be your striking the right note. Otherwise, you would be undiplomatic, which is not good. Don't know how many else. Okay, we got another one. This is funny. It isn't over until the fat lady sings. So, I think the origin of this expression is from theaters, where at the end you had a singer come up and sing, and often they were fat. Nothing against fat people, but that's where the expression comes from. So it means nothing is final until the final act. So if you know you're watching a football match and your team is losing 1-0 or 2-0 for that matter, and it's the 80th minute, so it's 10 minutes to go, and your friends are giving up, they're saying, yeah, we're gonna lose. You can say, no, well, it isn't over until the fat lady sings. And there's another expression which says it isn't over until it's over, but that's quite obvious, so this one's quite nice. Earth's oceans have been heavily polluted, but it isn't over until the fat lady sings. It means we still have time. I don't know whether that's true. We hope so anyway, don't we? Because that's what we want, a cleaner world. So here we go. So we got music as a topic today, and we're going to do part 1. You know, in part 1 of the Ielts exam, you have questions which are general. So the first question is, what types of music do you like to listen to? So I came up with a few interesting answers you might want to have a look at. So the first one is, it depends on what mood I'm in. Though I listen to a lot of genre, I mostly end up listening to lounge. It feels so good when you're tired and need a bit of rest. It's just what you need to wind down. So a few things here. To use the expression mood is good. Also end up listening to something, which means that although you like lots of other types of music, you listen to lounge in the end. And to wind down means to relax. It's a nice way of saying that. Next one. Is there a kind of music you dislike? So there are different types of music, right? I like pretty much everything, but there are some not my type. So you can say plenty, I suppose. Like, there are lots of music, but here the important thing is the use of ellipses. I'm not using the word music in the first expression, so I'm skipping that. That's missing out on a word because it's obvious. You can do that only when it's obvious. You can't miss out on words which the other person knows nothing about. So sorry about that. So you can say plenty, I suppose, like plenty of different types of music. Or music, sorry. There are lots I can't stand. Again, I'm not using the word music here, so try to see where you actually need to say the word, where you can use a pronoun, where you can just miss out completely. You get really good marks for that because it's a reflection of high level English. I'm not a huge fan of pop, although I can put up with a few here and there. Garage is not my cup of tea either, nor is indie rock. So I'm saying garage is not my cup of tea, which means I don't like it. Cup of tea, not like cup of tea here. But I don't like indie either, so I can easily say nor is indie, which means I don't like indie music either. So you see, by reducing the amount of words, by using obvious terminologies, taking them out and avoiding repetition, your quality goes up. Let's go to the next one. There we go. Have you ever been to a concert? I've been to a concert, Michael Jackson, you wouldn't believe, when he was really, really at the height of his career. So it's a fascinating concert because we were right at the front, and me and my classmates, we were all jumping. And when the concert started, we were looking for the main singer, Michael Jackson, and all of a sudden you saw 6 different Michael Jacksons. It was amazing. They all looked absolutely alike. We didn't know which one was which. And then from behind, he came out and he started dancing. It was amazing. Yeah, what a performer. Okay, of course I don't live under a rock, So to live under a rock means that, you're totally cut out from the real world. So this is a joke. If you say it seriously, it can mean that you're offended. You don't want to be saying that seriously. It's a joke. I haven't come round to going to one yet. So if you haven't been to one yet, you can say I haven't come round to going to one yet. I will when I get a chance. And there is your ellipses right there. I'm not saying the whole thing. Let's go to the next one, which is part 1. Again, does your country have traditional music that you know of? That's such a difficult question because nowadays we don't have traditional music anymore, do we? I mean, at least I don't know of. There are some Mayfair and kind of songs in the UK, but who goes to those? So you can say goodness me, meaning, wow, I don't know. I haven't got a clue, or I haven't a clue. I'm not well informed on my cultural roots. I live life in the fast lane. It means that you're very busy. Or I've always got my skates on, which means that I'm always in a hurry. To have your skates on means that you're very much in a rush. People who are skating around are going quite fast. So that's why we say, I've got my skates on. So I haven't got time to catch up on folk music. Remember, L is not pronounced, it's folk, not folk with the L, but it's just folk. Or describe your favorite music group or band. So this would be like part 2. And in part 2, you've got to speak for like a minute or 2 minutes. And the important thing is that you organize your thoughts properly. Make sure that you're very cohesive and coherent, meaning you organize your thoughts and you link them properly. You answer the question. So if there are 4 things to talk about, you answer all of them. Don't give yourself a discount because it's not going to work. And make sure that you use a variety of grammar and vocabulary and keep your sentences ticking. Tick, tick, tick. Don't give a big break between sentences. If you want to pause a little bit, but don't do that too much. And at the same time, work on your pronunciation. Just work. Listen to people who speak English and, level up, go up. Even little things, don't learn single words in terms of pronunciation. Learn how to say sentences all together. Like, not just how to say, for example, comfortable, but say something like to feel very comfortable. It's a whole sentence. So when you work on your pronunciation, then this part becomes quite good. So this is an example. So I can't say that I have one because many people nowadays don't have a favorite band, do they? I don't. So I listen to music, but I don't even know who sang this song. So that's the kind of world we live in. Whereas beforehand, years ago, it was like Oasis, and you had rival fans of the Bruce Springsteen against fans of Bob Dylan, or fans of U2 against who knows who. So that doesn't happen anymore. So I came up with this kind of answer that you can use. I can't say that I have one. I suppose I listen to whatever is good. I'm into hip hop and trap, but I'm open-minded and don't mind a bit of classical once in a blue moon. Once in a blue moon is an idiomatic expression, means every now and then, like very rarely. The last band we ventured out to see was called the Bad Boys. It's actually not a band. I just came up with a name. I didn't want to come up with a real thing. So ventured out means to go beyond your comfortable zone. So we ventured out to see what's called the Bad Boys. No one's heard of them here in this country, but I can assure you that they are pretty solid. Now, solid means good as well as solid, not liquid, So obviously the band is solid, like good solid, not the liquid, and not liquid solid, because that would be just strange. So despite the tickets costing an arm and a leg, costing an arm and a leg means costing a lot. So if something is exorbitant amount of money, you can say it cost me an arm and a leg. I'd see them again at a drop of, I think there is a bit of a mistake, I'll correct that when I drop the file in. You can just say I'd see them again at a drop of a hat. It means that you would see them again because they're so good, without any hesitation, or in a heartbeat, that you would see them again without any trouble at all. Okay, so the next bit I have is they are more of an R&B kind of band, occasionally veering towards rock, oddly enough. So veering meaning moving. The words like oddly enough, they're good because it tells you how you feel about it. You think it's a bit strange, because odd means strange. They give an idea of how you feel about certain things, so that's why we use oddly enough. Their lead singer has a voice which really stands out. It harks back to the time of AC/DC. So harks back means it goes back to the times of AC/DC. I reckon the main reason I have an inclination towards them is that they are a breath of fresh air, meaning they're really good and refreshing. They have gone back to the traditional ways of making music without the electronic gizmos, without the electronic, stuff. So, have a look at this part too, see what you like, use it, get an answer ready, and perhaps you want to use some of these expressions in your speech, Let's go to part 3. Okay, is it important to listen to music with other people? I suppose many people believe music to be akin to a social experience. It means it's similar to a social experience in that by that I mean it means it promotes togetherness and well-being. So many people think that it's actually a therapy, isn't it? Like going to a concert. Just look at concerts that people go to, for instance. You hardly see such outpouring of emotions, and you let go of your inhibitions like no place. So it's safe to say that music can help sprout those shoots of harmony. A metaphor here: sprouts are little plants. Shoots are little. Sprout is the verb, and shoots is the plant. So you might want to use that. It's pretty good. Yet there are times that music can calm you down when you're at the end of your tether. The end of your tether means that you're at the limit. You can't go on. So you listen to music, it calms you down. So I guess it goes both ways. There we go. Why do you think older and younger generation prefer different types of music? So Much Ado About Nothing. It's actually a play, did you know, by Shakespeare. It means it's just hot air, it's nothing, there's no truth in it. This categorization is somewhat false, as taste for music goes across generations. Of course, you have some kinds which are uniquely crafted for the young, and likewise others which are not, but it's not that noticeable. That's one opinion. Youth is energetic and craves music which satisfies its emotional needs, while the grown-ups are set in their ways, meaning the craves means desires. Youth really want music which goes with their vibe, with their energy, while grown-ups are more relaxed, more set in their ways. They're already settled down. If you're 50 and you're still pumping up like a 17-year-old, there's something wrong, or you're taking drugs, which is not a good idea. Even so, there are exceptions to the rule, and therefore I wouldn't bet my house on it. Or wouldn't bet my house on music tastes being set in stone. Set in stone meaning permanent. So, it's always good to give two different sides of an argument. You don't want to be saying it's black or white. You can say it's a little bit black, a little bit white, but you also need to say there's lots of grey. So that's why it's important to mention everything for the sake of argument. That was the last slide. I did not know that. Okay, thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Now, what to do with these expressions, you can, the first part of the video where you had all the expressions, when you're practicing writing or reading, writing or, can I say that? Writing or speaking, yes, that's what I wanted to say. Keep them on the side. Perhaps you can actually remember to use them. You start with the writing, use them in your writing, and then use them in your speaking. You will realize that, they're not that hard to use. Also, when you get to the speaking part, the expressions are used and the techniques are used. For example, ellipses, which means leaving out words, reformulation, saying things in a different way, avoiding repetition by saying things in a different way, and just simple expressions that are used. They're all good. So if you get a question on music in the exam, you will smash it. Absolutely, I have no doubt. So thanks very much for watching the video. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe, and where's the like button? It's somewhere down there. Hit that please for me, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks very much for now, and see ya. Wow, that was cool. A lot of language.